Hey, here's how to pick your very first lock using a half diamond pick, because the tip looks like a half a diamond, and a simple tensioner, which kind of looks like a windshield wiper blade that's been bent. First, we're going to pick a lock. We want to pick a lock like this, cheap brass padlock. Cheap is good because it's more likely to be easy to pick. Or we can try a cheap door lock as well, something to keep a door locked. If you're going to the hardware store to buy a cheap lock to pick, just be sure you don't buy one that looks like this, with this kind of ziggy, this up and down key and a W-shaped hole. Nothing wrong with these locks. They're also easy to pick, but you need different tools. So let's make sure you don't get something called a warded padlock. Okay, let's start on our inexpensive brass padlock. We're going to lock it, make sure it's locked. It's not going anywhere. We're going to put a tension tool at the bottom of the keyway. So where's the bottom of the keyway? Well, the bottom of the keyway has the slot for the key going all the way to the body of the lock. And the top of the slot, where the pins are, there's a gap between the top of the slot or the keyway and the body of the lock. So let's get going. We're going to drop our tensioner into the bottom of the keyway. I'm going to gently rest my fingers on the tension tool like that. Very, very little pressure. And then we're going to try raking this half diamond over the pins until the lock opens. This is the easiest way to open a lock, and we'll work with all kinds of lockpick tools. So we're just very gentle pressure, just barely touching this thing and going back and forth until the lock opens. And an inexpensive lock will eventually open, and we're gonna just keep going until it does. Come on, lock. This is what's going to happen to you sometimes too. So I'm actually going to let it roll for a bit. There we go. I could have done a shortcut, but this is for absolute beginners. And just want to show that it is normal for it not to work immediately. Usually does, but not always. So give it another go. Make sure it's locked. Let's give it another go. Same thing. Just rake it across and see if we do any better this time around. There we go. That's fairly typical for raking a lock. Let's try the same thing on a house lock. So we got to find the bottom of the keyway and make sure it's locked first. So let's stick our tension tool in here and make sure it's locked. This one has a tighter keyway, so I've got to use a smaller tensioning tool. Now we know it's locked. Again, we're going to put gentle tension on it. We're going to rake this sucker across until the lock opens. And there it goes, open. So there's another way though that we can use this exact same tool to open a lock, and that's kind of a hybrid of picking individual pins, which is called single pin picking, and raking, which is doing this. So let's go back to our lock. Got to feel for those pins. If you go too low, you won't feel pins. So, and this time we're going to try to find springy things as we push up on the point. And those springy things are pins. And we hit them, they put themselves in position, and the lock opens. Shall we do the same thing with this lock? Why not? So again, we got to find the bottom of the keyway. This one's bigger, so we can use a bigger, fatter tensioning tool. Drop our tensioning tool in it. And take our half diamond and put it in all the way to the end. Maybe we'll give it a quick rake. Now we're going to, again, find those springy pins. Push up one at a time as we work our way front to back in the lock. There's one. Sometimes you'll hear a click when they lock in position. And there we go. 2 different ways to use the half diamond to open a lock. Your first pick.